Hello again, everyone. So what I'm going to do today is a review of the MLB for the month of April. Now that we're into a new month, and kind of go through each division. I'm going to try to do it in under 3 minutes, in little segments, little snippets, kind of thing. I'm going to start with the AL East, since in my opinion it's the toughest division in all of baseball. The Yankees are currently leading the division, 14-9. They're 8-2 in their last 10, so they've been on a bit of a hot streak, and that's why they're winning the division. The Rays are right behind them, 13-10. Boston's 12-11, Baltimore's 10-11, and then the Jays are last right now in the division, 11-13. So hopefully they can turn it around. Why I feel the Yankees are having success is players are definitely stepping up for them. Jacoby Ellsbury, he's their center fielder. He's got a 326 average so far this season with homer, 3 RBIs, as well as 8 stolen bases. So he's been getting some extra bases on the base, stealing and stuff for them as well. I got all my stats ahead of me here, so if you see me looking up every now and again, it's because I want to make sure I get all the stats correct for you. Mark Teixeira is also stepping up for them. He's got 8 home runs and 18 RBIs so far this season. Only a 211 average, but you're gonna give up a good average for a guy that's gonna be hitting you 8 home runs in 1 month. So that's solid for them there. And then also Chris Young, their right fielder, he's got a 305 average, and he's chipped in with 5 home runs and 11 RBIs. So they got players that are stepping up for sure. Obviously, I'll wrap up the Yankees with Alex Rodriguez. So far, he's got a 243 average with 6 home runs and 14 RBIs, so he's coming back strong as well. Flopping over to the AL Central. The Kansas City Royals and Detroit Tigers are kind of both fighting for that division right now. The Royals are 16-7, and then the Tigers are 15-9. Minnesota's 11-2, and then the White Sox are a bit of a surprise. I think this early start of the season, 8-12, and then Cleveland is 8-14. So looking at the Royals and why they are playing so successfully, Mike Moustakas, their third baseman, he started the season with a 340 average with 3 home runs and 9 RBIs. And then Lorenzo Cain, center fielder, he's got a 337 average, with 2 home runs and 12 RBIs, as well as 6 stolen bases, so he's been doing a little bit of everything for them. Kendrys Morales, DH for them, he's bounced around a lot. I don't know why he doesn't stick with the team, because he can produce. Morales this year's got a 323 average with 3 home runs and 20 RBIs. So 20 RBIs in 1 month, he's on pace to have a 120 plus RBI season if he keeps this up. Their catcher, Salvador Perez, he's got a 322 average with 3 home runs and 15 RBIs. So I've listed 4 guys off there who have 320 plus averages. When you got 4 players on your roster that are batting over 320 in the beginning of the season, you're going to have a fantastic record at 16-7, and they're 6-4 in their last 10, which is good, and it helps that the Tigers have been 4-6 in their last 10, so that's why they got that game advantage. Looking at the Tigers, Iglesias, their shortstop, started off this season with a 370 average with 1 homer, 3 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases, and then Cabrera, obviously first baseman for the Tigers, a 360 average with 5 home runs and 17 RBIs. So he started off the season well for them. And then Yoenis Cespedes, a guy they picked up in a trade last season, obviously. He's their left fielder, started the season with a 293 average with 4 home runs and 17 RBIs. So that's why they're having success, I think, with the Tigers and the Royals. I think it's going to be one of the 2 of them that come out in that division. The White Sox have had a rough start, so I think they need to find a way to turn it around if they want to be contending in that division. The AL West, Houston is leading the AL West with a 16-7 record. They're on a current 8-game winning streak, 9-1 in their last 10. So I didn't expect this out of Houston. I expected the Angels or the Mariners to kind of run away with this division. I did not expect the Astros to be leading it. The Angels are 11-12, and the Seattle's 10-13. And then Oakland's 10-14, and then the Rangers are again having a rough season. They're 7-15, 2-8 over their last 10. But Houston playing amazingly well, and I'll talk about some players that have been performing for them and why they're doing well. Jose Altuve, their second baseman, 376 average so far this season with 2 home runs, 16 RBIs, and 9 stolen bases. So he's doing it all. Jake Maricinic, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, hopefully, starting off this season with 383 average, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, and 9 stolen bases. And then you also have George Springer, who's got a 205 average, so not a great average, but he's got 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and 8 stolen bases. So you got 26 stolen bases between those 3 guys in 1 month, which is crazy. Between those 3 guys, I could easily see 125 stolen bases over the course of the season between those 3 players alone. Which would be really, really impressive. Looking outside of just those 3 guys, Luis Valbuena, their third baseman, 220 average so far this season with 5 home runs and 9 RBIs. And then Jed Lowry, their shortstop, has a 300 average with 4 home runs and 10 RBIs. So they got a lot of players that are stepping up and producing for them, and that is why they are playing so well. As far as I'm concerned, that's why they are being successful. And the AL West could definitely be theirs, which I think would be a surprise if they win the AL West. I do see that as being a bit of a surprise for them. Flipping over to the NL now, I'm going to talk about the NL East first because I think that's a tough division. I think it's going to be a little tight. Obviously, the Mets have a pretty good lead on it right now with 16-8 record. They're 5-5 though in their last 10. And then Miami and Atlanta are both 11-12, but Miami's gone 8-2 in their last 10. So Miami's kind of turning the corner. And if the Mets continue to just play 500 ball, the Marlins could again be another surprise and be top of this division by the end of May kind of thing. So, Houston and Miami, I don't think were two teams that people expected to be near the top of their divisions, but they definitely could be. But the Mets are currently leading the East 16-8, and why are they playing so well? Well, obviously they got players that are going to be playing well for them because you're not going to be top of your division if you don't have guys stepping up. So Lucas Duda, their first baseman for the Mets, a 321 average with 2 home runs and 12 RBIs. And then they also have Daniel Murphy. Obviously, he's been around for a while with the Mets. He's got a 212 average with 2 home runs and 17 RBIs. So again, the average is down, but that's okay because he's getting the RBIs. And again, I think that's something you can look at with the month of April. Is guys can have fantastic averages and they're going to look elevated, but they're producing, or guys are going to have really low averages in the 220s kind of thing, but they're getting the RBIs okay. And as long as the team's winning, you're going to be okay if your batters bat 220 in the month of April, but they're chipping in with 15 to 20 RBIs. You're going to be okay with that. If that's still happening come June and July, it'll be hard to maintain that division and win a division if those kind of players don't step up and get a better average and get on base more, but they're producing and getting the runs in. I'm going to talk about pitching kind of at the end because that's obviously I think where the Mets are. Why they're being so successful is because their pitching has really stepped up with Harvey and Cologne kind of thing. But I'll get to that at the end. I'll talk about Miami for a little bit because I do see them kind of turning the corner and I think they are going to get better. D. Gordon, right now, their second baseman. So far this season, he's got a 423 average, 11 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, and that's incredible. To go a month and still be 423 average is ridiculously good. Really strong for him. And then, of course, you have Marcell Ozuna, who's their center fielder. He's got a 315 average with 5 RBIs. And then, how could I talk about Miami and leave out Giancarlo Stanton? Well, I'm not going to. I'm going to talk about him right now. Their right fielder, he's got a 282 average with 6 home runs and 22 RBIs. So they paid him, and he's worth the money they paid him because he's producing for them. So those guys are stepping up, and that's why I think they're going to do well. Also, their shortstop, Adeiny Hechavarria. I think the Jays might be kicking themselves a little bit now with that trade. They got Reyes for sure, who's a great player, but he's been a little injury prone since they picked him up, and now Hechavarria is playing fantastic for the Marlins. He's got a 318 average with 2 home runs and 16 RBIs, and then his glove is fantastic in the field as well. So you got all these guys that are stepping up, and I think that's why Miami's got a decent shot of keeping this run going in May. 8-2 in their last 10, and they could be a surprise and be in contention for the NL East at the end of the season. NL Central, right now the Cards are leading that division 16-6, and then the Cubs 13-8. Then you got Pittsburgh 12-11, and then Cincy 11-12, and then Milwaukee's obviously off to a really bad start 5-18. St. Louis is 8-2 in their last 10. Cubs are 7-3. Pittsburgh 6-4. So kind of the standings in that division and how everything is rounding out. That's kind of how everybody's been playing in the last 10. You haven't seen a lot of big win streaks or big losing streaks to see any flips happen with that. So St. Louis, why are they playing well? Matt Carpenter, the third baseman, started off this season with a 378 average, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs. Then you got Matt Holliday, their left fielder, 357 average with a homer and 14 RBIs. Then you got Johnny Peralta, their shortstop. He's got a 313 average with 2 home runs and 12 RBIs. So you got guys that are stepping up and playing well for you. And that's what's going to allow you to be winning that division. I do think the Central, it's going to come down to either the Cubs or the Cards. Pirates, maybe they'll be able to find a way to get in there. But I am thinking right now that it's going to go to the Cards with the way they're playing. I just think that's the way it's going to go. NL West to wrap up the divisions. I'm going to talk about them now. The Dodgers 14-8 right now, and then the Padres are 12-12. Rockies 11-11. Then the Arizona's 10-12, and San Francisco is 10-13. So San Francisco is off to a just under 500 start, but kind of surprising how poorly they're playing the start of the season. Dodgers are 14-8, so obviously they're playing well, and I think big part of that is Adrian Gonzalez, their first baseman, 376 average, 8 home runs, and 19 RBIs already this season. So that's a big part of their success. And then they got Alex Guerrero, their third baseman, 393 average with 5 home runs and 13 RBIs and only 28 at bats, so it's a little skewed stats for him. And then they also have Joe Pederson, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, their center fielder. He's got a 300 average with 5 home runs and 14 RBIs. So they got guys that are stepping up, and that's why I think the Dodgers are being so successful. Looking at the Padres, I didn't see them having a 500 record in the month of April. I didn't see them playing this well, but they are. And Yonder Alonso, their first baseman, has so far this season, he's got a 333 average with a homer and 5 RBIs. And then you got Matt Kemp, their right fielder, 330 average with a homer and 16 RBIs. Derek Norris, their catcher, 329 average with a homer and 14 RBIs. So you got a lot of guys that are stepping up. Justin Upton, obviously, left fielder, 282 average, 6 homers, 16 RBIs. So he's stepping up for them as well. And then to round it off, you got Will Myers, their center fielder, 277, 4 homers, 16 RBIs. And then you also have Solarte, who's got a 328 average with 2 homers and 16 RBIs. So you got a lot of guys on the Padres that are stepping up and leading to their success. So look, that's kind of my talk on the 6 divisions there. I will talk really briefly about the pitching. The Mets pitching, I think, so far has been amazingly really well with Cologne and Harvey. Harvey's got a 241 average. He's already got 5 wins. Cologne's got a 333 ERA, and he's already got 4 wins. 241 ERA for Harvey, sorry, not average, obviously. Kind of, if you had a 241 average as a pitcher, that's pretty good for Harvey, but it's 2.41 ERA. Washington has started 10-14, bit of a shocker there. Scherzer's got a 1.26 ERA, so he's been pitching well for them. Barrett's got a 1.74 ERA, and he's got a couple wins. So they got pitching that have been doing well for Washington, but they're not leading that division. They're not playing all too well, unfortunately. With Houston obviously winning the AL West, I mentioned a bunch of the players and why they got success there, but their pitching has to be performing well as well. Kuchel has a .73 ERA and 3 wins for Houston already, which is really good. So that's some of the pitcher talk. It's hard to, I think, evaluate pitchers this early into the season because you've only maybe started 4 or 5 games kind of thing as a starting pitcher, so even your aces are going to have a rough outing in their first month, kind of thing. The velocity is still kind of getting up there. Yes, you have spring training to find your command and get back on track and get your velocity back up, but I think it still takes a few starts, even for your elite starters, kind of thing. Harvey's come back from injury, and he's already got 5 wins at 2.41 ERA, so that's really impressive. And Cologne, with 3.31 ERA and 4 wins, is just fantastic with the way he's been pitching. He got 9 wins between 2 starting pitchers in 1 month for the Mets. So there's been some surprises. I definitely think with the AL West with the Astros is a big surprise there, and I think Miami with their 8-2 run that they're going on, that's a big surprise in the NL East. So we'll see what happens in May. See if the people and the teams that are leading their divisions and the people that are continuing to produce well for their teams continue to produce well, and maybe there'll be other players that turn it around and get their averages up. We'll see what happens. It's an exciting time in baseball now that May's rolling around. You got the first month in the bag, and we'll see what happens as the season continues. Thank you again all for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at GHAM614, and I'll talk to you again later. Bye-bye.